Welcome back to my channel, and today I haven't did one of these in a minute, but today what we have here is called 3 True First Day at Job Horror Stories Animated, and it's 20 minutes, so yeah, let's get straight to it.
It's funny how desperation makes you take what you can get, even if it's the worst. The moment I stepped out of prison after 7 years, it felt like the world had moved on. Not that I could blame anyone. My identity was stained, associated with theft and
you look like you need to be
crime.
back in jail.
The only luxury I was left was my old jalopy and sausage sandwiches. So when I found the ad for a job as a housekeeper in Caroline's villa, I didn't think twice. No more sleazy part-time jobs at Hooters. No more drunken creeps treating me like crap. I just wanted something to keep me off the streets.
Girls, I don't know why girls work at Hooters anyway.
Unsettling. Caroline, the lady of the house, was a 75-year-old widow.
Who that is?
From the second I saw her, something felt wrong.
Yeah, and the second I saw her, I would have been going the other way.
It didn't belong in her face. Her eyes darted around, wild and jittery. Then, without warning, she let out this soft, eerie giggle that sent a chill down my spine.
Like, man,
I caught her lips
and I would have been gone,
whispering to herself, too quiet to make out. My gut screamed at me to leave, but I needed this job.
Oh, it ain't never that serious, sweetheart.
Just clean and help.
You can always be something else. Get a bite, buy a bite, be a DoorDash.
He's been resting. My daughter Dahlia likes
I would have drop kicked her out that window right there.
Caroline's laugh filled the room. A high-pitched, eerie sound that made my skin crawl.
Dahlia's a good girl. Quiet,
yeah, she looked like a good girl.
She doesn't talk much, just stares.
Despite the weird vibes, I took the job. What else was I gonna do? Sleep in my car forever?
Oh, you have a car.
I packed up my few belongings and moved
DoorDash.
in the next morning. The house was huge, but not in the grand, cozy way you'd expect. No, it was dark and musty, and every corner felt like somebody's gonna jump out at you. Caroline showed me to my attic room.
You'll start tomorrow.
Caroline would have been 6 feet under right then and there. Nobody would have found out.
Never step outside your room past midnight.
The attic door slammed shut behind her, and I was alone with my thoughts and a mess outside.
And never went back.
The world stuck with me.
I don't know if I be talking too much. Conversation. Shut up, I react.
Well, the sound of wind scraping against the old windows, mixed with the faint hum of whispers from below, kept me on edge. By morning, I was already regretting my decision.
You can always leave.
Everything, I started cleaning. The house was a disaster. Caroline and Dahlia lived like they had 5 lives. The filth touched the roof, dirty towels everywhere.
That's how the dishes look on Thanksgiving.
Food. The bathroom was a horror of its own. But my nightmare was Judas's room. He was in a coma, she'd said. So when I walked in, I wasn't expecting the stench of bleach to burn my nose. His room was spotless, like a hospital ward, but the air was thick with chemicals. Judas lay motionless on the bed, pale and sickly. For a moment, I could swear he wasn't breathing at all, but the beeping of the heart monitor reassured me. By nightfall, I was exhausted and passed out the moment I fell on the bed. It had to be around 1 a.m. when it happened. An ear-piercing scream smacked me right out of bed. My heart nearly fell off my mouth when the screams came again, sharp and desperate. Without thinking, I grabbed my flashlight and bolted downstairs.
Downstairs and out the door.
Outside of Judas's room. The door was slightly open, and the bed, his bed, was empty. The heart monitor was off, the sheets were rumpled, but there was no sign of Judas.
And I
my breath caught in my throat. Could he have woken up? Could someone in a coma just get up? A low guttural chant echoed from the basement. My feet moved on their own, carrying me towards the sound. I should have turned around. I should have run out of that house.
This is real though, they say. This is true, they say.
But I couldn't. My legs had grown a mind of their own. I crept down the stairs, one slow step after another until I reached the basement door. It was ajar, and an eerie orange light flickered from within.
I would never be that curious.
Caroline was hunched over a wooden plank, her hands hovering over Judas's still body. The guy wasn't in a coma. He was gone.
See, 1, 2, 3. I've been gone, or she would have caught that 2, 2, 3.
Eyes half open. It wasn't Judas, but his corpse. And beside Caroline, Dahlia stood shivering like a leaf. Her eyes were wide with terror.
What the hell are you doing?
I yelled, not knowing it could be my worst mistake. Caroline's head snapped up, her eyes wild. The woman was possessed.
Be quiet. I'm bringing him back.
She screamed. Next, I was flung backward, crashing into a shelf as Caroline wrapped her claws around my neck.
Goodness, she would have caught
White
every
spots danced in
hay.
my vision, but just before a complete blackout could take over, Dahlia somehow swung a heavy candlestick square at her mother. Caroline collapsed, unconscious.
Bro.
Dahlia dropped to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably.
I tried to stop her.
She whispered, her voice trembling.
Judith died 5 days ago.
Would be 10
She fell
feet.
down the stairs. Mama, she wouldn't accept it. She said the practice could bring him back.
The bile rose in my throat as the realization hit hard. The smell, the bleach, the chemicals, it all made sense now. Caroline had been clinging to her son. We immediately rang the cops, but I was already gone before they arrived. I didn't wait for explanations. Didn't want to hear them.
Exactly.
As I drove away, my eyes glued to the rearview mirror. I half expected to see Caroline's deranged face grinning back at me, but there was only darkness. I could be free from that house, but I would never be free of its dreadful memory.
Dang. Just know Caroline would have.
I was thrilled to start my new job at Whitlock and Associates, a quaint
Samantha.
accounting firm nestled in an old
At
brick
Whitlock.
building downtown. The office had a vintage charm. My desk was by one of those
Ooh.
grand windows,
Oh,
and directly
no,
across
sir.
from me sat
Y'all
a
see
woman
that?
with long, dark hair that cascaded over her face. She
would've-
glanced up briefly as I settled
Boy.
in, offering a slight
Boy, that
nod
TV
before
monitor
returning
would've
to
been
her
thrown
work.
straight at that
I
dome.
smiled.
Hi,
sadistic fantasy. Finally, I released the anklet. With a
Ooh.
jerky motion, I flung myself at Mrs. Thorne,
Wait,
knocking
so you-
her down to the floor. Although thin and fragile, she seemed to exert untold strength and struggling.
Oh no,
My
she would have
greatest
died
strength
right
in the
there.
end
Then I
won.
would have.
I strapped the device to her wrist and grasped the remote.
Oh yeah, she would have never.
You shall obey me.
The darkness of my